This is the real environment that we are working on. If you see, we have segregated the migration project as the phase 1 extract, which is the tier 1 objects, and the phase 2 extract, which is the tier 2, not the phase 2, actually tier 2 extract, which are the dependent objects. So first I will go just with the phase 1 data migration tier 1 extract, where you will see only 3 objects getting extracted, that is customer, material, and vendor. So I have put a template before we started the project, and then every of these jobs use the same template, same structure. The ETL framework I came up with, we call it as the project ETL framework, where I have a template for extraction, template for in-scoping, template for transforming. Finally, we use the AO packages to load the data. So first, let me go over the extract template. Extract template is quite simple and straightforward, because any expectation in a project is your extraction template or extraction job should be as an as-is extraction from source, without any filtering, without any transformations, without any changes to the table. So if you look at this particular job, we have the try block, and then we have the workflow in which I have put the script that we can initialize. And the reason for putting a script in a workflow is a reusable object, whereas a script is not a reusable object. But we are using the functionality to make it as a reusable object. And in the initialization script, I have very few parameters I have put there. So it just prints the job ID, job name, job run ID, and then central this is a function. It is a custom function I wrote to display the repository details. So if I run the job, you'll see it displays all the repository details, and then it will just insert a record into a job status table, and it will print several other important variables, like data services timestamp will be printed. And you'd also see the target database timestamp, which are very much important for us to understand when a job is ran, how long it took, and what was the source system time, because the source system could be located somewhere in East Coast, but we are running the jobs based on a data services server that is sitting in West Coast. So we have to make sure our framework captures all this. And we also were trying to put a small other function called CF migration parameters, which is if you wanted to parameterize the job, which has to be dynamically taking the variables or dynamically taking the values or settings that you are trying to use when you extract the data or transform the data. In extraction process, you have very minimal settings that you do and initialization that you do. But in transformation or even in-scoping, what I call in-scoping, I will let you know. While you in-scope the data, while you transform the data, you may need an extra work or extra information. Your job should be intelligent enough to pick only the necessary parts of the data flows and workflows which you have developed. So we will see that in a bit. So this initialization script is a very simple thing that is required for you as part of the framework package, so that when you run the job, the system will not deceive you. It will say, okay, if not the system, in general, we deceive each other. So we don't want that deceiving thing to happen for in a job, because manually we can commit several errors. The computer or the system is prone to give you the reality, but it doesn't have intelligence by itself. You are the one who has to feed with intelligence, and it works in the same way. So if I just get into a little more depth, where you see the workflow, how I try to put a naming convention. Workflow phase 1, SA replace me, which means subject area replace me, job ID replace me, and I'm calling it as an extract job. This is not really anything like a standard in every organization. It is the standard which organization, if permits, we can define, saying every job will have a naming convention like this, so that end of the story, you can easily communicate with the team, and everyone in the team are in sync that they have raised a job, they have built a job, they have parameterized the job in the same way, so that both we are all talking in the same language and we are all using the same grammar too. How beautiful it will be if we could talk same language with a good communication skill, that we follow the same grammatical rules. So we are trying to put some grammar and add a little glamour to the ETL framework that we have built here. So the moment I get into the workflow, you'll see several other workflows. Whatever the workflows you see, those are number of sources in my project. I have CDZ 10 bond system, CDZ 210 bond system, CDZ MDB bond MDB system, CDZ PDB man-man database. So you have several databases like this. And if you see on the right hand side, I have put placeholders for a delta process extract, which means if at all you are running the extract process today and the production has to happen tomorrow, there will be always a delta of 24 hours of data that is being captured in the source system. So we put a placeholder so that in future, when we wanted to extract the data, we really put all the required conditions and say, okay, there will be a lag of 3 days or 4 days between the extraction process, between the normal extraction process and the delta extraction process, so that we parameterize that to extract the data, transform, and then load it and implement the SAP ERP system. So we may have source as flat files, so we may have source as Excel files. We just put some placeholders. So these are all the placeholders that I have put together. This is nothing like it has any other sources really or targets really. This is just a framework. We put this as part of the project. I mean, in 3 or 4 projects which I worked, we have developed frameworks for data warehousing, for data migration, and any other integration projects. It is as simple as we are all trying to be on the same page, how we extract and how we transform. So,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
You have put all the regular workflows and also the Delta workflow in the same job, right?
That is correct.
So, so what time will the Delta be running, or it will also run?
Hold your breath for a couple of minutes. You will see that how we control these jobs.
Okay.
You'll see that. Yeah, I hear your question. So you have all this framework put together, and let us just get into the first workflow and see what I tried to do there, and we will come back to the Delta workflow. So if I get into the CDZ 10 workflow first, CDZ 210 workflow, I have put some script where I say the job is started, and if this flag is equal to Y, then it begins the job, it inserts a record into our workflow status table and kick off the job. And if it is not equal to Y, we are saying it as the source CDZ 10 bond 4 is not set for the extract. So which means I am trying to parameterize it, and I used a conditional. It will run the extract only if CDZ 210 bond 4 system flag is set to Y, then only it will run this workflow. Else it will just skip the workflow and print a message saying the source data for CDZ 210 bond 4 is not available and data extract is intentionally skipped. So the framework here, the beauty of it is you can skip any part of the workflow here. Any extraction that you think is not ready, you can skip it and move forward with whatever is available. And how do we achieve that is by defining global variables for each of the source we have. So almost I had 10 sources and a flat file as a source, an Excel file as a source. So I put global variables here and give it a flag, and at runtime you can determine I have only 4 sources ready. Let me run the extract for these 4 sources. We run it. And you come back and you say, okay, let me run for one more source which is ready. You can set the flag. It skips the rest of them and only run for that particular source. And to answer, let me complete one other sentence and then I will take your question.
Sure.
Yeah. And just to answer delta extract, how does it happen? Delta extract again is the same way. I have put a flag saying if delta extract is equal to y and upper of, it's just only the condition I have put. Whereas CDZ10 barn4 system is equal to y, then start running this particular delta extract in which you have even more parameters that you can put some extract timestamps, what to extract for starting from what time, or you can set more parameters. Currently, I have made it as a time-based extract. So we just pass the last extract time and the current extract time. It just gets only the delta values or the data that is being inserted in the source system at the same time. And go ahead with your question, Hilal.
Yeah,
was it Hilal?
That wasn't me, sir.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Murthy here.
Okay.
Here. So when you say source system is ready, how are you trying to do that? Like the flag Y or no, that's getting derived based on time value comparison? Or?
No, the source system readiness is depend upon if it is a production system you are trying to extract over the weekend, they will say you can extract between a window 12 to 1. And the administrator is the one who gets the information, or in generally we maintain a parameter table where you can update the timestamp saying, okay, this particular source system, it will be ready at so and so time, put a flag Y there, and you keep querying the same table unless you get an update from the source. You can also make a flag file where they input the data like this, and it should be able to pick up the job. But currently, there it is a manual intervention that the administrator will determine, okay, I have the CDZ system ready at this time. Let me go kick off the job and extract it. Or he can schedule the job so that the job runs at that particular time and picks up the parameters. That is also possible. It is each organization is their environment will be a little bit different, and so in here they wanted to kick off the jobs manually until they go into production. Even on the production day, they are not going to automate anything, because on a production day, the assumption is all the source systems are made available for the extraction. This is only helpful during the development phase. They don't give access to all the systems. We extract only those systems which are readily available. We come back, next day we extract the remaining, but they have been staged in the same place so that you can use it for the second part of the job.
I'm good.
Okay. So these are all the workflows, just our placeholders. We are going to run this and see what will happen. And finally, I have a finalized script where I will just update my job status table, and then it says the job is being completed successfully. And it updates number of records that it is getting loaded in each workflow. So we just run this framework and it has to execute without any errors. Then we will all be confident that what is happening in this framework package, and then I will see how many people like my work. It's not just the client. I want even everyone of your opinion if this is something which you'd expect in a project, and which would be your expectation even when you start on a project. Because not every company follow all this ETL frameworking and all, because they feel that it is not a good use of time and money. But they will realize the fact when they go into production, they'll say, okay, 10 people has developed these jobs, everyone has a different mind, they followed a different process, where to go, what to check, no one knows. And the knowledge transfer becomes very expensive because the client does not understand each of your own mind and how you develop. So let us just run one job and see what is happening, and you'd then ask me more questions if at all you have. So I'm just kicking off the extraction job, assuming that I have 10 different source systems, and I do have a flat file as a source and also an Excel file as a source. I have put flags S to everything, and I'm putting a value in my subject area as template, and the group email address I put my own, but I just take it off. That should be okay too. And the job ID, the maximum that we expect is there would be 999 jobs. So we picked up 3-digit character or 3-digit number as a job ID. So every job is identified with a number there. So if I run this job, you will now see what is going to happen and how many statements are getting printed and how useful they are. So let me see if this job runs to the success. Then I will show you what my framework does and how can it benefit us. So the job will take only a few moments to run because this is a template. It has nothing in it. I have put only a row generation transform as my source. The job completed successfully like in a minute. So if you go and look at the monitor scripts, every of these extracts having only one record, because that is what I tried to do, and it extracts only one record. Except you see one of them did not extract anything. I hope that is the delta. So it did not extract anything because I did not put any time-based data. Yes, that is the delta extract, I think so. So if we go a little deeper and then look at it, let me show you one other beautiful thing, and then you'd all take it forward with a couple of questions. So at end of every process, I name the table properly. So if the list of e-tables that are provided to the client, I say the extract is completed, the client will go and verify in the staging environment, does an e-table exist for this source or not. So I have come up with a naming convention. Every extract table starts with an letter E. And here if you see the source table which I am putting, it's just a row generation transform. It generates one row. Just for a sample for every developer who comes into the project will see, okay, I have to develop a job. The final destination of extract job is the e-table, and I have to give the system number or source system name followed by the source table name. That's the naming convention I have put in there. That's the beauty of the template. So everyone follows the same naming convention. You don't see any difference in developers' mind, because you start naming. Some people are ready to put the girlfriend name even on the job. just that we do with passwords and email account. You can put your own favorable items there, but it doesn't work in a project. So if you see, okay, any questions on the extract job, guys?
Ganesh?
Uh-huh.
Can you show me custom functions that you built? I just want to go through it. Just one quick view.
Sure. We would just take up the CF repository details, or we can take up even my job status or workflow status, which are a little bit complex. So we just take first the CF repository details. This is a very simple function where I have used all the default functions that are provided by data services to give us the repository name, system username, system date, and I print it as part of my my job while it runs. And also, let me show you one other, a little bit complex, but then easy to understand. It is only the thought process behind it is complex, but the function is simple. So this for a particular function, it will insert the status at the workflow level. And I would like to show you even the important thing there is just now we have run the extract job, and the statistics of the job will be captured into my framework package tables. These are only the tables which are being used by the ETL team. None other team will look into it, or it is not for, as you remember, as I mentioned, if you remember, this is the kitchen stadium. Staging area is our kitchen stadium. No one touches it. There are very sharp knives and forks. SQL developer environment in which right now I ran a job, and if you see the tables which I have built to hold the status of each job and workflow is the DS job status and workflow status. If we browse through the table, you'd see what the current step we we have completed, how long it took, how many records have been extracted. Everything is being captured as part of the template job. So it is taking a little while there. Let it come back. Meanwhile, I will show what I tried to do here. So we even create this template table within the function, so that when we go into a different environment, it creates the table by itself and it can run. So these are any question on the functions? Do you want more explanation?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah. One other.
And looking at your project, we feel that we don't know anything now.
Which one? The project?
I mean, the functions you wrote, and a lot of things we need to learn, I guess, right? I mean, so let me ask you this question. So these are all like the requirements that come in your project, or you just wrote because you want to go on deeper?
Okay. It is always, if you see, when it is a huge project, when 10 people are developing the programs, you put some standards there. All we are trying to do here is, not everyone in the world will go and define this template. It is a one-time activity, we have defined it. And when people start using it, there comes up little changes and we work on it. But to answer your question, it is, we recommended the client, if you follow this, it will be very easy for you to track the changes and to understand what extraction process we are doing, how we are loading. But without any kind of this framework or a planning, you can still develop an ETL job and it should work even fine. So the purpose of showing this is, you can talk in an experienced person's language. When you go there on a project, you can start recommending, okay, there is something called as a ETL framework package we can put together. It need not be you write a lot of custom functions. You can run these jobs even without the workflow status table and then the job status table. It doesn't really matter. But what I try to show, at least for you, will be helpful to just answer few interview questions, and also to just go into a project with the realistic knowledge on how a real-time project was built in at least at one client location. So I'm trying to show you the reality.
So I have a question, like how to define this ETL template. Suppose we don't have a template in a client place, and we started working on the project. So
then go with the very minimum. Yeah, go with a very minimal thing. Like at the starting of the session, I told you, just try to build your extract job with a try-catch block with a little initialization script saying that the job is started, and don't write any functions, not required. The functions are required if at all you wanted to really accommodate some more intelligence into the job beyond what data services gave you. But by default...
So whatever you wrote here, it happened over a period of time, right? Not
Correct. Not a one-time activity. We have developed extract template and it was stable, but the in-scope template and the transform template have evolved in the little later phases of the project. So the extraction is a very simple thing which we do, but we are trying to control the way we extract and the systems we extract. Because when you go into the mock cycles, they will say, okay, can you extract so-and-so source system because it is ready? And we do it for the customer extract separately, for the vendor extract separately, for OTC process separately, so that the process is independent and runs by its own. So that's what we try to achieve in this particular client location, but it does not really matter.
Sorry. You define the CF as a custom function, right? What is ENR stands for? Is there anything particular or any EFN?
Where is the EFN?
If you're looking at the custom functions.
Okay.
What is the naming convention?
Oh, these ones.
Yeah.
Actually, these were the ones which are developed by SAP as part of the AIO packages. These are not my own functions. We can just go and see one of them. So it just are being developed by best practice methodology. This comes as part of the AIO packages.
Okay. Is there any naming conventions where E and R stands for anything, or it's just
I think even they try to make a little naming convention here, but I never gone through what could be it. But if you look at it, for example, the VAL number range assignment, which indicates that this is a validation function. You see here, validate that that the previous number has passed from the legacy application exists in SAP application. So they named it as a VAL. So let me just see what the ENR function is. So in here, the ENR decimal conversion, the function eliminates any 1000 separator from the incoming value and also converts the decimal separator into a dot. So it is just a conversion function that they have put and they have named it as ENR. The reason could be here because it is used for some elimination of decimal characters kind of thing. So I mean, they would have come up with their own naming conventions, but for me at least, because these are the custom functions which are written by us, I named it as a CF. Just to make a difference. But there is nothing...
Thanks.
Okay. So let us proceed little forward with the rest, and do not worry about generating or writing your own complex templates. This all you will learn as a matter of fact. After working for a couple of years, you can come up with these kinds of template by yourself. But this is a recommendation that we make as part of the best practice, how the AIO packages are existing. In the same way, because there is nothing like a template or an framework that data services has given you to extract or transform data. This is what we have put together. And the extraction is completed. Then comes the in-scoping. Then how do we do the in-scoping is, you go and get the requirement document saying, okay, the customer data, though you have data for the past 20 years, they will give you certain rules saying, extract me only the active customers. As I mentioned you, after 2006, whoever has an sales order, whoever has an activity within their legacy system is called as an active customer. So they put up a couple of rules for that. So let me pull out at least one document here. I wanted to show you these framework tables. Yeah, give me one. So if I could log in, I would show you those two tables, the job which we have run, how it works. This is, and again, please don't just get confused. I'm trying to give you more information, but I'm not trying to confuse you. These are all good to have, but it is not a mandatory to have. So these are the framework package tables which I have put together, in which you'll see the data and the job run status and all. So if we wanted to sort and see the current load which we just did, the extraction which we just did, start time ascending, or start time should have been descending, I think. Just to get the current job. Yeah, this is the job which we ran, and it gave, the job ID is 9999, and job phase 1 SA replace me, job ID replace me, extract is the job which I ran. Its run ID is 575, and it just completed successfully without any errors. This is something, a placeholder for an ETLer to go and see, I have kicked off 20 jobs. I wanted to see what part of the jobs are successful. Then you can...
What is the difference between job ID and job run ID?
Okay, job ID is, there is nothing like a job ID that is given in data services. That is something which we put to identify job 100 stays for the customer extract, job 200 stays for the material, job 300 stays for the OTC. So it is by process, by subject area, I have given my own job numbers.
So where do you have that placeholder mentioned? Like where do you mention that, okay, this job name equal to 99998?
Yes. In the global variable, I have put, if you go into the properties, I have put the job ID here. This is the job ID. You can pass it at the runtime, but as a best practice, what we do is the job ID also can be fetched from the parameter table. If I go into the parameter table and put this particular job should have this particular job ID, at the runtime, I put some logic there, it picks up from the table. But currently, just think like we are doing it from the global variables. Yes, it is not anything data services has provided. It is what we are trying to do.
So what is a job run ID?
Run ID is at every runtime, data services will print just a unique identification number for it. That is only at the job level. It is not at the project level. For each job, it will start giving 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of a sequence.
Can you show us where you have this code, job run ID?
Yeah, it is in the initialization script I have put together. The first statement here, if you see, the assigned job ID and the job name is also a default function. If you put job name with open bracket, close bracket, it prints the function. And if you put job run ID as the function which you use, it prints the run ID there. So I'm using the default functions that are inside data services. These are not the functions which I have written or someone has written. If you see, you have several functions here.
So let me ask you this question. You have a table where you have the status of all the jobs. You want to know whether what jobs completed, what is the start time, end time, right?
Correct.
So we can see the log of all the jobs run in the management console, right? Why do you have a separate status table?
Good. You have 24 hours, and if you wanted to go and monitor each and every job, if you have 100 jobs running last night, then you'll find a simple table is easier than going through the central management console and then looking at what are the statistics that each job has loaded. This is more or less like you are making a cheat sheet for your own self, that you come back and you follow your own cheat sheet saying, okay, I have 10 jobs running last night, and how many have been extracted successfully, and how many of them failed successfully, and what is the record count if they have extracted. Just to monitor yourself, we are trying to do this.
So, but what I'm asked is that is correct, right? We can do the same in the management console. I know it is very cumbersome.
Yeah,
but
it is not only management console. Let me give you one more information there. You can also do it from repository tables. Each repository, wherever you run the job, has all the statistics built into it. But as the repository tables are not like the ones which you can access, and there could be several restrictions because you don't want to mess up the repository. So we try to put our own simple tables where you talk in the language you want, and you identify what you wanted to really get and save it for you. So for example, let me show you here. There is no mechanism in data services that can register something like this. So we are trying to say this is the job that is being run, and there are like 10 or 11 workflows under it, and each of the workflow ran to its success, and the record count which you are seeing on the right hand side is been pulled from my custom jobs, my custom functions actually. And one other important thing is someday or other you want the statistics to be printed. They will ask you, can you get me the record count of all the extract tables? You go here, you have the table name. You see here I'm also capturing the table names here. So these are all the database table names. So we are using this in real time, and it works absolutely fine for us right now. So the purpose of it is actually, as I mentioned, if you see here, the data migration parameters. I have put a template saying this is the subject area, this is the source name that I wanted to put, and this is the last extract cutoff time, this is the next extract date and time. You can put as many parameters as you want. I'm trying to show you that this is a better